Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into one of the most jaw-dropping scandals to ever hit the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. Buckle up, because this one has betrayal, courtroom drama, and a shocking find that left fans speechless. Whitney Rose exuded a confidence that could only be enhanced by reality television as she strode through Salt Lake City. Every move she took was captured by cameras, which captured the shine of jewelry, the shimmer of luxury dresses, and the laughter that seemed to reverberate through every celebration she went to. She was the epitome of beauty to the outside world, a lady who had established herself as a member of the upper class by juggling family obligations with the seductive turmoil of the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. Her house exuded grandeur, a sign of prosperity and security. Her courage, her willingness to voice her opinions, and her ability to make even the most insignificant moments into dramatic moments were all admired by her friends. But there were murmurs behind the smooth exterior. Despite its brilliance, the facade was brittle. A storm that would soon break the illusion of perfection and reveal Whitney's world's flaws was silently building behind the glistening chandeliers and meticulously manicured Instagram postings. Because he and Whitney had established a solid foundation, Justin Rose had always trusted the rhythm of his home. But as the weeks went by, he started to notice little differences. The amounts on his bank statements didn't match what he had anticipated. Records of the property revealed transfers that he had not approved. A worrying trend started to emerge from even the slightest facts, such as a missing paper here or a signature he couldn't remember there. Justin initially wrote off the uneasiness as stress, the inevitable turmoil of juggling the demands of reality TV with family obligations. However, the disparities became more noticeable and unavoidable. There was a hint of distrust in the house that had once felt like a haven. There appeared to be a murmur in every corner that something was amiss, that the existence he believed to be based on trust was slowly falling apart. With every new revelation, the riddle grew more complex, and Justin's faith in Whitney started to waver. What had begun as a slight suspicion was now building into a mental tempest that would soon demand explanations. Justin felt a growing sense of discomfort that at last became clear. Every document he found and every mysterious transfer led to the same conclusion: Whitney had eaten everything. He had lost control of the property, the finances, and the assets that symbolized years of steadiness and hard work, but she now possessed them. It was a methodical, all-encompassing pattern rather than a single deed. What had once seemed like collaboration now felt more like treachery. In his mind, Justin relived certain occasions, looking for clues he had overlooked, and pondered how the lady he trusted could destroy the bond they had formed. The glitz, the laughter, the audacious confessions of love, all of this suddenly appeared to be camouflage for a more sinister purpose. He felt the weight of finality in the realization. This was not a clerical error or a misunderstanding. He was left standing in the wreckage of their former shared life because of the decision he made. The defection was no longer a whispered hunch, but an indisputable fact that required an explanation. Justin felt the weight of betrayal pressing down on him until he could no longer keep quiet. Unanswered queries and restless pacing characterized the lengthening nights. He gazed at the proof that was presented to him, the signatures, the transfers, and the indisputable path that went back to Whitney. Every page served as a reminder that the life he had created was disappearing, not accidentally, but voluntarily. Once his strongest asset, Justin's patience had given way to resolve. He could no longer pretend the storm would pass or protect himself from the truth. The basis of their marriage had been destroyed along with the confidence he had freely provided. Unwavering in his resolve, he collected the papers, each one containing a piece of the betrayal, and organized them in a folder. It was more than just paper. It was evidence of what had been stolen and the tale of his loss. Justin realized there was no more room for uncertainty as he closed the folder. He would pursue justice for the loss of dignity as well as for the property that was devoured. A decision that would alter everything had come at the breaking point. When the knock on the door was heard, there was an odd silence in the morning air. With his resolve unwavering, Justin stood back, his folder of evidence already delivered to the authorities. Officers in uniform were waiting when Whitney, dressed casually, opened the door. Their faces were unreadable, their presence firm. She was under arrest. The words were straightforward, but they sliced through the silence like a razor. As the officers moved forward, Whitney's eyes grew wide, and a look of incredulity appeared on her face. In an instant, the glitter that had characterized her public persona vanished, to be replaced by the icy reality of handcuffs on her wrists. Whispers rose like smoke as neighbors observed from a distance. Flashing lights and whispered conversations now accompanied the woman who had once drawn notice with her audacity and attractiveness. For Justin, it was a tragic and vindicated moment, marking the start of justice, but also the irrevocable breakup of a once-shared life. The pivotal moment was the arrest. What had once been a subject of suspicion and treachery was now a legal matter, a tale that was written in the sharp language of consequence rather than being limited to whispers. Whitney's arrest became widely known more quickly than wildfire. The tale was discussed in coffee shops, whispered in salons, and dissected on innumerable social media feeds in a matter of hours. Her name flashed on screens, hashtags went viral, and the Bravo community went into a speculative frenzy. Some admirers hurried to her defense, claiming that Whitney had been misinterpreted, that the accusations were fabricated, and that the woman they had seen on TV expose her soul could not have betrayed her. Others, on the other hand, strongly supported Justin and commended his bravery for opposing what they perceived to be lying and manipulation. Memes emerged almost immediately, transforming this startling event into content that went global. There were contentious debates in the comment areas, with neither side prepared to concede. For the first time, Whitney's audacious personality, once praised for her candor and passion, became the exact thing causing viewers to disagree. The arrest had become more than a personal problem. It had turned into a spectacle, a plot that made it difficult to distinguish between reality TV and the actual world. The court of public opinion also became more powerful as the globe watched, influencing the story before the trial ever started. The stone walls of the courthouse echoed the weight of justice as it towered over the area. When Whitney Rose entered, she was no longer the glitzy TV celebrity, but rather a defendant under investigation. The cameras that used to adore her now caught every hint of discomfort and every look that revealed the anxiety beneath her glossy appearance. It was a tense vibe within. The seats were crowded with reporters who were focusing on the woman at the center of the story, their pens poised. With a strong presence and steadfast gaze, Justin sat across the room. The gap of treachery between them was now visible to the entire world. There was stillness as the judge walked in. Documents were submitted, witnesses were prepared, and the evidence was laid out in stark detail as the hearings got underway in the steady rhythm of legal ritual. Every phrase had weight, removing the glitz and revealing the accusations' unvarnished reality. The courtroom was not a stage for Whitney. Her fate hung on the balance of justice, her speech was measured, and her actions were constrained. The spotlight that had previously praised her was now shining on all of her shortcomings, mistakes, and decisions that had brought her to this point. With months of treachery bearing down on his chest, Justin Rose got up from his chair. As he moved forward, bearing not only paperwork but also the weight of a betrayed trust, the courtroom fell silent. His steady but emotionally charged voice filled the room as he described how his life had fallen apart. He talked about the assets taken away, the property consumed, and the quiet times when mistrust gave way to certainty. His suffering was revealed to the jurors and judge in every word. His story was unvarnished, a man struggling to recover his dignity from the ruins of treachery. Justin never took his eyes off of Whitney. His eyes were filled with the solemn grief of a man who had lost more than just material belongings. He had lost the trust that had once underpinned their union. He provided thorough evidence, with each page serving as a reminder of the actions accomplished and each detail representing a step closer to justice. The courtroom was quiet by the time he was done. He fought for the truth, which was the justice he had been denied for far too long, rather than for retribution. The accusations weighed heavily on Whitney Rose when she eventually appeared in court. Her attorneys were precise in their arguments, portraying her as a misguided woman rather than a cunning plotter. They maintained that the transfers were misunderstood and that the property used was the product of hurried judgments, poor management, and confusion rather than theft. Whitney sat calmly, her face meticulously composed, although there were hints of discomfort in her eyes. She listened as her defense attempted to refute Justin's allegations and raise questions about the evidence that had been presented to the judge with such care. Every statement served as a lifeline, an effort to maintain the reputation she had established, which was now collapsing beneath the spotlight of public scrutiny. The courtroom, however, was not readily influenced. Justin's statement lingered in the air with a calm intensity, and the records remained sharp and unquestionable. Whitney's defense attempted to change the story, but the facts were too important to ignore. At that precise moment, Whitney's world hovered on a precarious precipice between the certainty of consequences and the hope of redemption. As the judge got about to speak, everyone in the courtroom held their breath. Every soul in attendance felt the weight of suspense as papers rustled softly. Justin's eyes stayed steady and unwavering on the bench, while Whitney sat rigidly with her hands clutched together. The judge's powerful and methodical voice pierced the quiet. The testimony was indisputable, and the evidence was unambiguous. The law demanded repercussions because the treason had been proven. Whitney Rose was found guilty and fined $30,000. The verdict was given with measured words. The final, irrevocable sound of the decision seemed to reverberate against the walls. Whitney's eyes lowered as the truth of the verdict reached her, and her composure wavered. For Justin, it was a moment of vindication, not triumphant, but solemn, with the justice he had long desired at last within his grasp. The verdict hung in the air like a heavy veil, and the courtroom remained silent. What had started out as murmurs of suspicion had now solidified into truth, sealed by the court's power. Although the betrayal chapter was over, the effects of it were still felt far beyond that room. Like a stone thrown into quiet water, the verdict reverberated. In a matter of hours, news sources were bombarded with headlines, and the Bravo community was ablaze with emotions. The $30,000 fine was more than just a penalty. It was a sign that the glitzy world of reality TV could not protect its celebrities from repercussions. Once applauding Whitney's audacity, her fans now talked in low, disappointed voices. Podcasts recapped Justin's testimony, blogs examined every aspect of the trial, and social media feeds were ablaze with arguments that would not go away. While some expressed their compassion and insisted that Whitney had been unfairly punished, others applauded the decision as long overdue justice. Beyond the courtroom, Whitney's public character was rocked by the shockwave. The woman who once attracted attention with her attractiveness and rebellion was now in the middle of an uncontrollable storm. The weight of her demise was carried by every headline, post, and private discussion, guaranteeing that the scandal would not go away quickly, but would instead remain carved in the memories of everyone who witnessed it. Whitney Rose's meticulously crafted image began to fall apart as a result of the verdict, which went beyond the fine. Previously praised for her audacity and charisma, she was now shrouded in rumors of scandal. Event invitations decreased, brand collaborations faltered, and the glitzy shine that had characterized her public persona started to fade under the pressure of criticism. The tide turned on social media. Her credibility was now questioned by fans who had previously applauded her candor. Every post was examined closely, and every look was examined for indications of disobedience or guilt. She felt alone in the spotlight of unwelcome attention as the world that had once embraced her appeared to turn its back on her. Once associated with entertainment and drama, Whitney's name has come to represent treachery and repercussions. Although the fine was a financial setback, the real cost was evaluated in terms of reputational damage, which was difficult to repair with money or notoriety. Her world, which had once shone with promise, was now broken. In addition to depriving her of property, the controversy severely damaged the legacy she had intended to leave behind. For Justin Rose, the ruling was a silent vindication rather than a moment of victory. The winter air felt crisper and fresher as he left the courthouse, as if the burden he had been carrying for months had finally started to lighten. Whitney's fine was not monetary. Rather, it was a public acknowledgement of the betrayal he had experienced. No longer weighed down by the silence that had once engulfed him, he moved with a serene steadiness. For the first time in a long time, Justin felt seen when friends and supporters reached out and offered words of encouragement. Although his battle had been difficult and his defeats indisputable, justice had restored some of his dignity. He thought back on the journey, the suspicion, the proof, the legal battles, in the solitude of his home. Even though each step had been difficult, they had brought him to this location, where the truth had triumphed. Vindication was a steady light that burned softly against the darkness of treachery. It was neither boisterous nor joyous. The scandal permeated every aspect of the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, not just courtrooms and headlines. Once excited to highlight Whitney's audacious personality, producers were suddenly presented with a conundrum. Her legal issues suddenly cast a cloud over the cameras that had flourished on her drama. Meetings became tense behind the scenes. Would the incident permanently damage the show's reputation, or could Whitney stay in the cast? The controversy, according to some, would boost ratings by attracting people who were keen to see the consequences. Others were concerned that it would upset the delicate equilibrium between realism and amusement, making the series darker than it was supposed to be. Whispers immediately circulated among the cast. Alliances changed, friendships deteriorated, and the arrest became a point of contention. Some saw Whitney's demise as a warning, while others saw it as a chance to take over the limelight she had left behind. The scandal looked to be weighing down the show itself. What had been a venue for glitz and competition was now tinged with consequences and betrayal. Whitney wasn't the only one burdened by the aftermath. The entire franchise was affected. The aftermath of Whitney Rose's demise persisted despite the passage of time. The controversy stuck in the minds of both supporters and detractors, transcending its brief headline. The arrest, the trial, and the fine that signaling the end of her glitzy facade were all weighted equally by each recounting. Resilience was the legacy for Justin. His pursuit of justice served as a reminder that even in the face of glitzy betrayal, truth may triumph. Whitney's legacy was more weighty, serving as a warning about how wealth and celebrity may vanish when trust is betrayed. The story hovered like a shadow in the Bravo universe. Viewers recalled it as one of the most dramatic turns in the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, and it was discussed in podcasts and whispered in interviews. The controversy had become an integral part of the show's history and its plot, defining not just Whitney's journey but also the delicate balance between spectacle and realism on reality TV. As a result, the legacy persisted, a tale of justice, betrayal, and repercussions that would always be woven into the most memorable drama in Salt Lake City. So what do you think? Was Whitney Rose reckless? Or was this just another case of reality TV magnifying personal drama? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, because this scandal is one for the books. And don't forget to hit that like button if you love deep dives into the wild world of reality TV. Until next time, stay tuned, because in Salt Lake City, the drama never sleeps.